Welcome to another episode of the Saturday Morning Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. Your weekly dose of news and advice that comes to your pocket every single Saturday. Holding it down, here we got Mac, Mark, Scott, and Landon. Enjoy today's show. Hey, welcome back into the Saturday Morning Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. This is episode 81. It is a beautiful Saturday, November 30th. Crazy to think that December is almost here, but we're jumping into week 13, the last week of the fantasy season. We've got two solid little segments here. We're week 13 streamers, guys that'll help you get it done in a pinch, and we're doing a rest of season fantasy draft, guys that we would carry into the playoffs. If we were to restart our seasons right now, who would be the guys that would get us the fantasy championship? Got the whole crew with us. Mark, Mac, Scott, Landon. The boys are here. How's your week been? You guys ready to kick it off for week 13 or what?
Yes, sir. I am ready. I'm ready for the playoffs. I'm ready for a fun-filled weekend of football. For all of our American listeners out there, hope you're having a good Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. We're recording this on a Wednesday night. So I can't wait to watch football all day on Thursday. It's going to be an amazing day. And then, you guys do it right. How you guys doing? How's your week, Scotty?
Oh, it's a great week. Yeah, this is the bipocalypse is over. All bye weeks are over, and now it's one of my favorite times of the year, which is just the scratching and clawing of trying to get to the playoffs. I know we have a lot of viewers right now that are probably one win out of their last wild card, and we are here to help you guys get into the playoffs because, as we know, in fantasy sports, once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. It's all about getting in.
You're damn right.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, of course, as always. And just like I have been for the entire year, what's up
yes,
now?
Sir.
I've been up with the Saturday Morning Snap Boys for a whole year. I just realized.
Ooh, yeah, way to go, Marky.
So, happy anniversary, boys. And I'm stoked to do another one with you.
Also stoked. Just do another.
Also stoked to get into the playoffs in a couple of leagues. And to be helping you folks out on this fine Saturday with some expert takes, which we hit at least half the time.
That's right. We're about a 50% success rate. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm going up into a big matchup this week with Scott, actually, in our Dynasty League of Record. If I can pull off a win against his 10-1 team, I'll find my way into the last spot in the playoffs, which is exciting. I'll go 6 for 6 in in leagues to make the playoffs. So Pretty good year for me. Humble brag. It's all good. But listen. Yeah, no. Well, fair enough.
Extravagant brag.
To go to Landon's point, American Thanksgiving is great. You guys do it right. I used to live in America. I went to school in America for a couple years. I got the week off school. You guys celebrate hard. We got 3 games on Thursday for football. It's a great week. And you guys do it right. I wish that we did the same things, but we'd take a Friday and a Monday, and that's pretty much it. So, we got week 13. If you guys are listening to us, watching us, wherever you are, however you may be tuning in, we appreciate you. And, we want to hear from you. So if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us some feedback, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, leave us a comment in the comment section below and click that little red button that says, hey, I want to subscribe to the channel. We are trying to grow our YouTube, content. Producer Scott has been doing a fantastic job of that. So let's just try to help us grow just a little bit. If you want to get us on social media, you can do so at SMS_fantasy on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you want to get Mark, Scott, or Landon, you can get their individual Twitter handles in the episode description. So without further ado, we're going to go through our Week 13 streamers fast and furious if we can. It's a little bit of a crazy week. The waiver wires at this point are bare. People are stashing defenses. They're stashing tight ends and QBs to play for the rest of the year. And we're going to do our best to give you sort of the bottom of the barrel, best that is available. and we're just going to go through. I'm going to call on Landon, Mark, and Scott in order. You guys are going to tell me your QB, your tight end, and the defense that you would be willing to stream this week, and a couple points as to why you think they're valuable. So, Landon, go ahead, give us your trio.
All right. At quarterback, I'm talking Sam Darnold. He was disrespected all year round. All year when he had mono, and then he had some really tough matchups. That Seeing Ghost game was not good for him. But ever since then, he's been a very viable streamer. And this week they play Cincinnati. It should be a great matchup. Andy Dalton's back in. Should be a better high-scoring game. At tight end, I'm going to go Jimmy Graham. Because tight ends are gross. You're hoping for a touchdown. They play the Giants. Should be a decent matchup. And my favorite pick actually is going to be at defense, where the LA Chargers get to play Denver. And guess who's starting at quarterback for Denver? That is going to be Drew Lock. You have Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram, and Derwin James should be coming back. I think the Chargers are a great defense to go against Denver. And lock and load. Get the Chargers, especially in DFS. I think I'm going to be using the LA Chargers everywhere.
I like that. I'm going to take the rock from you here, Lando, and go with my three, starting off with the quarterback position, someone that Scott was touting with high praise a couple weeks ago, and that's Ryan Tannehill. He really showed grit last week when he was able to put up 4 scores, 2 through the air, 2 on the ground. This guy, I'm telling you, he'll put his head down and run right through you, Superman his way into the end zone. He is going up against he's going up against Indianapolis this weekend, and he's definitely found some great targets in AJ Brown and Adam Humphries, but also the fact that Derrick Henry is putting in such work right now is opening the door wide for Tannehill, and people love him. I love what he's done since replacing Mariota. Carrying on, I am going to talk about the tight end position this week. And one guy, although his offense around him hasn't been performing very great lately, I'm going to say Gerald Everett of the Los Angeles Rams. Why? Because he is still an excellent athlete. And while Goff is having trouble finding his deeper targets and putting up numbers through the air, Everett remains a great check down option. He's a really good athlete, and Arizona they allow a lot of yards to tight ends. So if someone is going to be eaten on this Rams team, which we didn't see against the Baltimore defense, I think Everett can do it against the Cards defense. Finally, my defensive stream for the week is going to be the Carolina Panthers, who take on the Washington Redskins. And if you've been watching football in 2019, you know the Redskins have not even been getting the ball downfield. When they have, it's been bit by bit, but it just seems like other teams have been walking all over them. And while they did squeak out a win last week, I don't think that's going to happen again. I think the Panthers are hungry, and they are going to embarrass this Redskins team.
Solid takes there, Mark. I'm going to catch the quick slant from you and pick it up from here. So for my quarterback, I am going with the man under center for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're talking Jameis Winston, and I think that this week he is going to shred the secondaries of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why do I think that? Well, as Mark mentioned, I was high on the Tannehill train as soon as he took over from Mariota, and what I watched last week was a 40-point fantasy point output from Tannehill. Now, unless Tannehill has become the second coming of Peyton Manning, I think that Winston should be able to put up a big week against that same secondary with much better receiving options. We're talking Godwin and Evans. Maybe O.J. Howard gets involved. I'm not touching that. For my tight end pick, I am going with a homer pick. I am going for Rudy, the tight end that is 5 for 5 in his last 5 games. We're talking 5 touchdowns, and he should be readily available as he had a bye week with the Minnesota Vikings last week, so a lot of people would not be willing to roster him into the bye or think about picking him up until that bye has passed. So I'm going with Rudy as my tight end pick. Kick it over to defense, and I have 2 main rules in fantasy football this week. This season. If you can start somebody against the Bengals, do that. If you can't start them against the Bengals, start them against the Miami Dolphins. That being said, For my defensive pick of the week, we are going with the Philadelphia Eagles, who will fly, Eagle fly, all over the Dolphins.
I love it. I'm going to give you my trio real quick. Quarterback, I'm going Kyle Allen. Now, I'll try my best to go 8 Mile here. I know Kyle Allen hasn't had the big game for you yet. He's been serviceable, but he hasn't had the big one. His best game came against Green Bay. He had 300 yards, which is a career high, but he just hasn't had that explosion. This week, they play the Redskins. No, sorry, who does Carolina play?
The Redskins.
Thank you. Brain was somewhere else. They play the Redskins. The Redskins have been terrible. Josh Norman was a healthy scratch last week. If we can take him out of the equation, that means even better for Kyle Allen. CMC has been a pass-catching machine. DJ Moore has been utterly fantastic. Curtis Samuel can step up and have a big game, and Greg Olsen has been shades of his old self. So the Carolina Panthers have all the tools that they need to get a big win, to score a lot of points. Kyle Allen could have his biggest day of the year so far. I'm willing to bet on him going into week 13 if you're in a pinch. At tight end, I'm going to go Ryan Griffin. Just to give you a little bit of a stat nugget here, Ryan Griffin, in 5 seasons with the Texans, scored 6 touchdowns. So far, in the last 5 games, he's got into the end zone 4 times. Been on absolute fire. In that stretch, has been the tight end 1 twice. And last week was 2 for 13 with a touchdown. The tight end landscape is so gross. That was good enough for the tight end 8 on the week. So I'm going to stay in the flames with Ryan Griffin. I've been hyping him up for the last couple weeks. Go ahead, get yourself some Ryan Griffin, tight end for the New York Jets. At defense, now I could go a couple different ways. I could go Green Bay. I could go against the Giants. I could go the New York Jets against the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm actually going to go Tampa Bay Bucks against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Ooh, I think I prefer Green Bay.
Hey?
I think I prefer Green Bay over the Bucks, personally.
Yeah, no, I think all 3 are good options. I really, really like your LA Chargers, Landon. While I was listening to you, I picked them up in one of our leagues. I liked it so much. I think it's fantastic. Tampa Bay Bucks, I'm buying into that their run defense it's one of the best in the league. I think they can stop Leonard Fournette, and if they can force Nick Foles to throw, I think that they have a good chance to be successful. Foles last week, if you take Leonard Fournette and the check down throws away, he threw for 200 yards to his receivers, over 4 or 5 options. They like to spread the ball. He didn't get into the end zone, didn't pass, throw a touchdown. Haven't seen him do that in 10 weeks. So I'm going to bet against Nick Foles, and I'm going to bet on that Tampa Bay run defense to stop the ball. So I think Tampa Bay could be an okay play, and they're going to be readily available in all leagues. I think the New York Jets were one of the biggest pickups of the week, and they're not going to be as readily available as the Bucs will be. I like the Packers as well against the Giants.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about the quarterbacks and defenses, it doesn't really matter. Like, for example, for Jameis Winston, how many picks he throws. As long as he throws a bunch of touchdowns, he's in positive game script, it's a great option. As for defenses, it doesn't matter how many points get scored on them. If they get interceptions and sacks, that's where you get the points in fantasy. You're talking matching up bad offensive lines against good defensive lines, teams that could just rush for or that blitz a lot. So it's I think all these options are really good. I'm excited.
All right, gents, we're going to jump into our main event here. We have our rest of season, week 13 through 16 fantasy draft. We're going to redraft starting today, and we're going to carry these players for the next 4 weeks to see who can get the fantasy championship. So with all that we know and all that we know about the matchups going forward, we're going to do our best to draft the best lineup. And so the order today goes Landon, Mark, myself, and then Scott, and then it will snake coming back. It's a 6-round draft. We're going to be drafting a quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, and a tight end. No bench, no kicker, no defense, no flex. Okay, so there's some strategy that goes along with this, and let's give the listeners a little bit of insight as to how we're kind of thinking through this, what approaches we might take. There's definitely going to be some positional scarcity with some of these guys. So talk us through some of your strategies, what you might be looking for here.
So for myself, the number one pick is pretty obvious. He's the running back that is number one in standard leagues, halfway leagues, PPR leagues. He's number two in almost in all categories, and that's going to be Christian McCaffrey. And I don't really care about his schedule, but I'm going to let you know, for almost every other pick, I am only looking at schedule. Yeah, it sure matters if they produced so far this year, but for a guy like Julian Edelman for the New England Patriots, they have a really bad schedule, and they play at home outside in December, and it will be snowy and terrible weather. So he's not a guy that's on my radar personally. These guys might think differently, but I'm excited to see what strategy you guys are after.
Well, knowing you, Lando, the con man you are probably just trying to bait us away from Edelman, and I respect that. But we weren't going to go for him anyway. No, but I want to touch on the positional scarcity that Mac mentioned. That is a factor we're going up against for certainly some of the positions where you only have one of. Like, we have 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers apiece here, but the tight end position, we each need one, and I don't think there's 4 tight ends in this league.
Not on a regular basis.
Each one individually.
No, that's right.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like the quarterback position as well. I mean, there's 2 big elephants in the room with Mahomes and Lamar. But how do you discount Russ, Dak? Aaron Rodgers has a decent schedule.
Rodgers is a little bit tough to me.
Pardon?
Rodgers has a tough schedule for me. He's going to be a tricky one if I am on the clock and he's available personally.
Yeah, no, and all I'm saying is, like, if Mahomes and Lamar go off the board early, I'm going to pivot and go elsewhere because I'm okay with the rest of the options.
Right.
Like Russ, Dak, those are both fantastic options personally. So, tight end and quarterback are going to be interesting positions. I think running back and wide receiver, there's a lot of choices there. It'll just be basically perception and schedule and so on and so forth. So, listen, let's kick this thing off. Landon, you get to kick it off here with the first overall pick. I want to know if you're going CMC. So we're going to begin the draft. You guys can see it on your screen here. Landon's got 90 seconds on the clock. I don't think he'll be using all of it.
I will not. I will be going Christian McCaffrey.
That's a quick pick.
That's an obvious option. His schedule is great. Washington, Atlanta, Seattle, Indianapolis, week 16, but I need to get there first before I get to week 16. So, actually, just to mention, this is going to be a cumulative fantasy points. So it really doesn't matter week 16.
Yeah, total points.
Total points. It's not like we're not matching up against each other.
Right.
Okay, well, this may seem a little bit crazy, but I'm going for the guy with individual target shares. Again, might sound crazy, but boom, Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas. Bold.
He's good. He's very good.
He is good, and the schedule is decent.
Whew.
All right,
I'm on the clock.
Mackenzie.
I'm gonna pick my man who has been one of the best running backs in the league outside of Christian McCaffrey. I'm gonna go out and get my man Dalvin Cook of the Minnesota Vikings.
That's a good
Nice.
pick.
Has a nice little schedule coming up. He plays. Let me just see it for you. Seattle, Detroit, Chargers, and Green Bay in championship week. So
Yeah.
I like Dalvin.
That's a good one.
I just gotta see how I can draft him.
It's the plus button.
Yeah, it's the plus button, like add.
Oh, it's the plus button. There we go. Dalvin Cook.
Oh, Mac. I just
Coming
like to
in
point out that in the Listener League draft, I was stuck behind Mark, who would then take my picks right before me. And you go ahead and
Yes, you
take
would.
Dalvin Cook, who has a terrific running back schedule for the remainder.
I
of
know
the
you're a
season.
Viking fan, so I had to just kind of pull on those heartstrings just a little bit.
That was going to be the 1-4 if it was not the 1-3.
Oh, I know.
So
Kirk
not happy
Cousins is
about
available
that.
still, Scotty.
I'm not happy about that at all. Now I'm going to have to pivot slightly, but
You have to scroll down to
tilt.
get Kirk's name.
He's
It's fine.
tilting.
not a crazy amount, because to me it's still pretty formulaic at this point about how you still have to play this. But
We're going Lamar?
I'm not exactly psyched. But with the 1-4 in the 2019 episode 81 draft, I will be taking my boy Zeke, because if he's available, I
Oh.
still feel his schedule is not as good as Cook's, and that's why I'm a
not.
little
I was gonna
disappointed.
say.
But if he's on the board, I mean, you can't just leave him there.
Buffalo,
Okay,
Chicago,
and as we all know,
Fair enough.
I am
Philly.
I had Zeke crossed out. I was not going to touch him.
Who's Zeke?
He's not on my list at all.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
there you go.
I don't like the list of,
More for you,
of
Scotty.
Buffalo, Chicago, LA, and Philly.
Scott,
Yep.
don't listen to these guys. They're not
I'm aware of his
interested in your
schedule, but
best
there
interests.
are certain guys that I do believe in how much the offense needs him and skill level, and that's why I went with that pick.
Okay. All right.
All right, moving on. Next, I must say I am in between two different individuals at the same position, and just mostly based on health and schedule, I am taking Mr. Travis Kelce as we talk
Oh.
about tight end scarcity.
It's not a bad choice, Scotty. It's not a bad
Yeah.
choice.
That totally changes the way I approach my pick. Scott, had you passed on tight end, I was going to not take a tight end because I would have been okay with any of the top three. Now I've got to take a choice. So it's George Kittle, and his schedule reads Baltimore, New Orleans, Atlanta, LA.
And he still has he's listed as questionable with that ankle injury.
This
And,
does
and
have to do with
that's
health,
one of my
yeah.
concerns. Re-injury is a definite possibility for him. I think I like Zach Ertz better. Miami, New York Giants, Washington, Dallas. Sign me up.
He was
Zach
my
Ertz,
second
I'm taking him.
ranked tight end. He was my second ranked
Yeah.
tight end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, Landon's going to take Kittle if I don't. Straight up right now.
You know, that's the truth.
Yeah. Do you want to miss out? And then you throw Landon into Tilt City.
I
Well,
believe Mark was the
Tilt
one
City,
who commented on how filthy the tight end situation is and how there's maybe 3 tight ends that you'd want in this whole league, but there's certainly not 4.
No, I mean,
Oh,
if I take Kittle, Landon will take Waller, but he doesn't have to take him right now.
I can wait. I can
Correct.
wait till the very end now if you take Kittle.
That's true.
What a fun game of chicken.
35 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, bit of a tricky one. I'm just seeing if there's other guys. I mean, I think I would be okay with Waller myself. So I'm gonna do it now and get me some Lamar Jackson.
Oh, okay.
I had you guys fooled
Oh,
there.
that's upsetting.
All right. Respect.
Interesting. So
That throws a little wrench in the plans, eh?
it does a little bit. So I could look at a guy like Alvin Kamara. He's got Atlanta, San Francisco, Indy. Not great matchups. I think
I don't like the San Francisco, Indy, Tennessee
No.
to finish. That is not great.
what I could say. Saquon Barkley has Miami and Washington to finish.
I know.
That's a good stretch of games. However, there's that question if they're going to sit Saquon or let him rest, or he's been a little bit banged up. They have nothing to play for. Why would they give Saquon the rock so much? I think there's a lot of really good running backs. Holy man, I am tilting. I'm tilting a
Landon's
little bit.
in Tilt City population.
30 seconds,
him.
Landon. Don't
I
burn
wasn't going to pick. I was hoping you were going to.
25
Lamar
seconds,
was going to
Landon.
be one of my picks.
This man has to make back-to-back pick, folks.
You know what? Oh man.
I can hear the smoke coming out of your ears.
Oh man.
10 seconds, Lando.
10 seconds. I don't know what to do. Go with my list. Oh, I have to scroll down to see him. I don't. Oh, it's auto.
Time is up.
No, Lando.
No.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You took Kamara.
All right. I went.
Did you get
can't
Kamara
believe you
or
just
did it
auto-picked.
pick Kamara for you?
It picked Kamara for me.
Landon
Oh my
efficiently was tilted. Mark, you mastermind. That was absolutely fantastic.
Oh,
pulling
you
on the
hate
Lando
to
heartstrings.
see
You
it.
got tilted in a 4-man draft, filling in what, 8 roster spots?
With only 7 picks before you.
Oh no.
Okay, Lando,
This
you're
is
running out of time
terrible.
again.
Yeah, your clock's ticking, pal.
All right. I'm just gonna.
This
I
is
don't
gonna be
even
the
have
longest
him
3
ranked
minutes.
high. I'm just gonna go DeAndre.
He doesn't even care anymore.
I don't know what to do with myself.
I think Mark has won this draft no matter what.
Oh no.
So speaking of winning drafts, I'm gonna go for a little bit of a stack play now, and
Ooh.
from the Baltimore Ravens, I'm taking Mark
Don't
Ingram.
go Hollywood. Oh, Mark Ingram. Okay.
I would not have picked Mark Ingram
Oh,
at
dude,
that spot.
It's an
the guy is
interesting play.
playing outrageously good football right now.
To be fair, though, Landon,
Okay.
you didn't necessarily pick anybody. So
That's true. That's a good.
you let the computer decide.
That's a good.
You're lucky they didn't draft you Gronkowski.
So Scotty only needs one more running back. I should probably go wide receiver because there's 2 guys that I like. Oh baby, this could be interesting. Okay, I'm gonna pick the wide receiver that I think is the least matchup proof in the league. His schedule's not great, but I think the schedule doesn't matter with a guy that is this talented, this explosive.
Tyreek. I
Give me
thought
Tyreek
about
Hill.
Tyreek. I thought about
Yeah.
Tyreek.
Give me Tyreek.
It's a good play.
Thank you.
All right. Interesting.
And now it's on to Scotty.
It's on to Scotty.
Trying to think him out.
Think
Trying to-
out loud,
Trying to
please.
feel him out.
Well,
For
I
the-
will
for the
think out
listeners.
loud. I mean, there is the option of having a Zeke and
You can't pick
Saquon
another
backfield.
tight end.
But as we've discussed, the question becomes whether they just rest him for the rest of the season and say,
Right.
there's no chance of the playoffs. Why put your guy through that? Or I could... But boy, if he does come out, that's a very formidable backfield. Le'Veon Bell is also of interest to me because he really
Very
has been
good
starting to show
matchups.
up.
I think you would
He's got
Very,
some
very
great
good.
matchups.
Yeah.
you would steal Mackenzie's pick. I think if you picked Lev.
That's my 2 debates. The big name of Saquon, where I'm not confident in him for fantasy reasons. What we know, he's the superior actual athlete. And you know what? I think I'm going to have to go with Lev Bell because we all know the matchups are great, and we've been talking about him for weeks on this podcast about the virtues of the matchups that are coming up. So I'm going with Lev Bell. Buddy is going to
Nice
be
pick.
Curse you, Scotty. Curse
coming
you.
out of the going to be coming
love it.
out of the second half of the season strong, and I think he will finish up very well. All right.
You have one more pick. So are you
I
going?
do. I'm the snake.
Yeah. Are you going to go wide receiver like a Devontae Adams? Or would you just take a quarterback? If you take a quarterback, well,
You know,
guess Mackenzie's-
it's a hard decision, and I will say that it is tempting to start grabbing quarterbacks, but in a 4-man draft where you can start one quarterback, I just am not sure that they will be. That I feel like the wide receivers, the good ones, will go first, and there'll be enough quarterbacks for all of us to have a very viable starter. So I will be taking a wide receiver. And
Well, that's good. I'm
I
glad
do
you
have
took
my
a minute to
pick
figure
of
that
the
out.
litter here. But you know what? It's hard to say no to one of Mac's favorites who has grown into one of my favorites. He's been resting with
Here we
that
go.
injury for a long time. And I got to go for Devontae Adams.
Yep.
I think
He's gonna
Respectable.
be great.
Yep.
He's gonna be great. Okay, I'm not gonna waste any time. Pat Mahomes, stack him up with Tyreek. I
Yeah.
win in. I want in on the elite QB option. That's what I'm going with.
All right.
Nice.
Yep. Don't hate it.
Yeah.
Don't hate it.
So I'm between a couple guys here at the running back position. So in yards, we got number 3 still on the board, Nick Chubb. And I like him except for, I believe he's facing Baltimore in week 16.
15, I think.
In week
Is it 15 or
16,
16?
it's Baltimore.
16.
But I love Nick Chubb. I mentioned on before how electric of a player he is, how great he is. But I also like Derrick Henry a lot. I know you guys aren't going to really touch him. He's got a beautiful schedule as well, and we just know how good he is at the end of the season. So, yeah, right now, those are the two in my head: Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry. But it is going to be a running back here for me.
Just which one that is.
You don't
Who's
have
it
to.
gonna be?
I have 2 running backs. So I mean, if you go strategy wise, you could.
Hey! You're not supposed to help him on that.
What a friendly person.
It's
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Lando, I see
10
what you're
seconds.
tell.
Here comes the auto pick. Cue it up.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
going
I didn't
to
do
go
what I
to-
told you guys I was going to do.
He's gonna go to.
Landon,
That's a
you-
smart.
you
That is a
screwed me
smart
up.
play. That's a smart play.
I'm gonna go. I'll take my. Well, I was gonna take my tight end, but that would be dumb for me to do that. So I'm gonna go with a guy that I am confident in is gonna finish up strong. Actually, I gotta search him up. I'm gonna go Chris Godwin for my other.
Yeah, boy. Nice.
And then
He was on my list.
Yep, they've got a good schedule. And for my quarterback, I'm just going to go, doesn't matter about the matchup, I'm going to go Russell Wilson.
yeah.
He
Pretty
was
solid pick.
top of my list. I also had Jameis Winston. I could have stacked them. But, yeah, there you go. And my last, we'll have to find out what my last tight end is going to be.
We'll see what we leave you for the end. I'm sure you'll have lots of choices to
Of
make.
tight ends, I could tell you what I'm going to go right now.
Yeah, you could. You're right.
You absolutely
We
could.
can't do anything to stop you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark, it's back to you after your George Kittle pick.
Yeah. Thinking
Now might be
now-
a good time to go into the running back game.
Yeah, but still, like, I don't know if...
Seems like wide receivers are going to be pretty popular in the 4th round.
That's what I think, too. And, I mean... I know he's fighting with Jarvis Landry right now for who's getting more fantasy points on a week-to-week basis, but I think OBJ is just hard to pass up right now, so I'm going to go with him.
I just about picked him. I like their schedule.
Yeah. OBJ. So I've got to go wide receiver here because Scott needs a wide receiver and he needs a quarterback. His running backs are shored up, so I'm not going to waste a pick. Let's see who we got. So Julio Jones is interesting. He's got New Orleans, Carolina, San Fran, Jacksonville. I pretty much like all of those matchups. However, he is questionable this week.
The shoulder thing
Edelman
apparently
is-
similar to what James Conner is going through, but
Right. Mike Evans is a good play. He can be, he doesn't have that high of a floor. He has disappeared at times this year. That kind of concerns me just a little bit. 38 seconds.
What about
Ooh,
Keenan
Antonio
Allen?
Brown at 23? That's tempting.
Antonio Brown.
I've heard good things. He found the right helmet.
Heard good things, eh?
Keenan's on my list as well. Not to.
I don't love Keenan's schedule. That's the only thing.
I also
Right.
don't like Phillip Rivers' accuracy.
Right. Okay, I'm doing it. Mike Evans.
That's.
I knew you wanted
that's a
him.
good
That's why I
pick.
took him.
That's a good pick there.
Thank you.
Well,
Tilt.
unlike
All right,
Landon,
Scotty.
I will not be heading to Tilt City where the grass is green and the girls are pretty, I hear. But
Yes, they
that
are.
does throw me off as I was scoping out the other half of that passing attack. But I mean, unless
Think out loud, Scotty. You got 2 picks left.
Oh, I know. I'm just double checking just how broken he is.
I think Julio will be fine. to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
they're saying a game time call, but I mean, if he's on the board, he's on the board, and I'm going to take him. So I'm going to be
Yeah,
taking Julio
I
Jones
get
as
it.
my second wide receiver.
And for your
totally
quarterback
get it.
now.
Yeah, just a QB. Hey, Scotty.
Just
So
a
many decisions.
QB. And
You gonna
many
stack Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams,
I could.
or Dak Prescott with Zeke?
I'm gonna throw a greasy name out. Baker Mayfield has a great schedule.
That's a little bit greasy. You're right.
I mean, minus Baltimore in Week 16, he goes Pittsburgh, Cincy, Arizona the next 3 weeks. I'm just putting it out there.
I mean, actually,
Drew
the best
Brees.
schedule of all these guys is Mr. Winston in Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
Baker's
I know.
right behind
he was
him.
on my
that's-
list.
It's yeah.
I know. Are you gonna go Jameis here
It's tempting. It's really
Jamie.
with
Jameis.
Dak available?
I would not hate that.
You won't go.
You do
Jared
have Dak
Goff.
available, and you do have Zeke. That might be something to consider. Just saying.
Deshaun is still there, but their schedule.
Deshaun is
not
still
great.
there.
Ooh, decisions.
This is not great audio.
No. No.
You know,
Scotty is a silent.
I'm a
thinker.
silent
And that's
thinker,
okay.
and you might all think I'm crazy, and only time will tell. Boom, Winston.
Okay.
Jameis Winston.
Tampa
Okay.
Bay, bring it home, baby. Throw that ball.
All right.
Okay. Okay.
Beautiful, Scott.
So
Mac.
we've all drafted wide receivers. Amari Cooper's going to go undrafted here, which is wild to think.
Yeah.
I have to draft my second running back and a guy that Mark talked about, Nick Chubb. I'm going to go with him. He plays Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Arizona, Baltimore. I don't really care about the Baltimore matchup. I still think he's going to be fine. I don't care about Kareem Hunt. I still think he's going to be fine. So Nick Chubb, I'm taking over Saquon Barkley, Todd Gurley, Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry. I think he is the best available option.
That Chubb is
Well-
ranked for me above Saquon, but I'm surprised.
In the next 4 weeks.
I would be shocked if Saquon doesn't get drafted by Mark right now.
I would too.
Sarn it.
I think he's going to go Henry. If I was a betting man, I think Mark's going to go Henry.
I would go Fournette.
Ooh.
I do like all those too, but Fournette does face off against Tampa next week. I don't like that to start it off, but I think the rest of the time it's pretty smooth sailing. I'm a bit
is.
gutted that you got Chubb there. I did really want him for this pick. Henry is a massive pick, and he's playing so good right now.
Man, what a league this could be. Nick Chubb in the 6th. Like, wow.
Yeah, hilarious, eh?
Hilarious, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
30 seconds, Marky. 30 seconds.
What's going through your head, Marky?
what's going through my head is why I would not pick Saquon, and I think it's probably just because of the rest of the pieces around him on that offense. If he can
does
be
have
limited,
Miami and Washington.
10 seconds.
What a crazy world we live in. Saquon.
I know.
Not going to be drafted.
He
Oh,
took him.
He did. He
He
took
did.
him.
He
did
All
it.
right. Man, I thought you were
that's
gonna go
the
Derrick
smart
Henry.
pick. I'm going Hunter Henry to finish it off. He was the guy I wanted anyways. The Chargers have a great match or great schedule to finish. So yeah, I'm
to be
happy
fair,
with Hunter
Landon,
Henry.
you were planting ideas in my head that whole time. That whole draft, you really influenced everything I did, to be honest, man.
So listen, I am
don't
going
mind
to
it, though.
I am going to convert this draft into a league, and it's going to be total points at the end of week 16, we'll crown a champion, and we'll have a little prize between the four of us. Maybe something we can do in a off-season episode or something like that, a little special. But reading back our teams, Landon, go through your team: quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, and tight end.
All right. I went Christian McCaffrey with the first pick. Alvin Kamara was auto-drafted for me because I'm a piece of crap. DeAndre Hopkins, Chris Godwin, Russell Wilson, and Hunter Henry. I don't have any stacks. My matchups really aren't that good, so my little spiel ahead about just matchups went straight out the window because I'm tilting when I draft. And this was a fun little exercise, guys.
I'm actually surprised, Landon, that your team doesn't consist of all rookie players and how good they've been this year. I think you should have went all rookies.
Yeah, I went Tua Tagovailoa, whatever his last name is.
Mark, give us your team.
Okay, so I went Lamar Jackson, QB. I went Mark Ingram, Saquon Barkley at running back, Michael Thomas and OBJ at wide receiver, and George Kittle at tight end.
Ooh. Hey, I like that team. That's nice. I went Pat Mahomes, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb at running back, Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans at wide receiver. Got that stack with Mahomes and Zach Ertz at tight end because of that juicy schedule.
That's a nice looking team as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And for my
Thanks,
team,
Scotty.
I went Zeke off the start with the first pick, then picked up the first tight end that I really think was the cream of the crop with Travis Kelce. Le'Veon Bell is my second running back, and Devontae Adams and Julio Jones will be my wide receivers on the outside. And with the last quarterback selected in the draft, I went for Winston in Tampa because the air raid is going to keep going all season long because they will usually be behind. I'm pretty happy with my team. I think I've got a good shot.
I sincerely hope you are right.
Beautiful.
Should be a good one. All right, well, that will keep us, entertained for the last couple weeks, along with our other leagues. If you find yourself outside of the playoffs right now, and you're not really into DFS, daily fantasy sports, like DraftKings or the Draft app, or even what's the other one?
FanDuel.
Help me out, Landon.
FanDuel.
What's the other one I'm thinking of?
Is it not FanDuel?
Thank you. Yeah, if you're not a fan of those, do this with a couple buddies. Grab a couple friends that missed the playoff in their leagues too, and do a little fun, redraft for the last 4 weeks. Why not? Sleeper will allow you to do it. Get in there, have some fun. Season doesn't have to be over. But hey, thank you for kicking it with us. Really appreciate you guys being here, seeing this all the way through to the end. We want people like you that are still tuned into fantasy football come week 13, week 14, week 15. Those people that quit earlier in the year, gung-ho for draft season, and that's about it. We don't want those people. We want guys like you and girls like you that are here deep into the season. So thank you for being here with us. We appreciate you guys. Hopefully you get the win that you need this week in order to get into the playoffs. And hit us up on social, hit us up on YouTube, get into the comments. And without further ado, we'll see you guys on Sunday for the live stream tomorrow if you want to come kick it with us on YouTube Live.
Bye. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Saturday Morning Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at SMS_fantasy. Support this independent podcast at patreon.com/SaturdayMorningSnap.